All right, hey guys, how you guys doing, man? Thanks for watching today. I got a story to tell you about a guitar amp, okay? So back in 1977, when I was just a kid, my parents for Christmas bought me this amp right here. This is a 1967 Fender Bandmaster, and I was really happy to get this amp. I remember being a kid, getting little garage sale amps and getting combo amps and cutting them down and making like guitar heads out of them and everything. And my parents, you know, they saw me doing this kind of stuff, so they bought me this amp. Great amp, and I was super happy to get it. And they also got me the Electro Harmonix Little Big Muff. So in this little town of Ohio that I lived in, where there was only 3,000 people, I had like about 50 kids that went to my school. I had the sound, the guitar amp. These kids would come over and I'd be, you know, playing power chords and trying to play Iron Man and stuff like that. And I had great tone. People were tripping out because I had that fuzz pedal and I had a great amp. And so we moved out here in like 1980, 1981. I went through high school, and I brought the amp out here with me. And then I've had the amp, you know, and I would play gigs, bar gigs around town. And, you know, it wasn't really the greatest amp to have as a bass player, but it still worked, and I got through a lot of gigs. I remember I opened for Flotsam, believe it or not, in like 1984, and I had that Fender Bandmaster, and Jason Newsted was in Flotsam and Jetsam at the time, and he's looking at my amp, well, whatever, but he's a great guy. But anyhow, so I played a lot of gigs with this thing, and I even remember auditioning for bands in the 80s and showing up with this Bandmaster, and I actually had a custom, I don't know what happened to the cabinet that I had, because this is a long time ago, but I do remember getting a custom 215 cabinet that was the plush. It had the tuck and roll upholstery all over it, and after a while I just ripped all that off, and I had like white paint. I painted my speaker box white, and I had this Fender Bandmaster, and I remember missing out on being in a couple of bands and not, you know, passing the audition because I showed up and my tone was just really bad. But you know, the years went by, and there was a fun story. I was playing a bar, probably mid-90s, and we had a Friday and Saturday night where we were the opening band. And after the show Friday night, I took the amp, and there was a shed out behind the bar, like a storage room that they had. It was a great bar to play at. We had tons of fun down there, and it would get packed. And I put my amp after the gig, I put it in this, instead of taking it home, I put it in the shed. Well, it rained all night. The next night, Saturday, about 7:30, got my skinny jeans on or whatever. My hair was all, you know, but anyhow, I took my amp out of that shed, and it had rained all night, and I tipped my amp upside down, and like a gallon of water fell out of my amp, and I was like, oh no. So I made phone calls to the headlining band. I think they were called Risque. And I called these guys up, and I finally got a hold of the bass player. And we didn't have cell phones back then, so I don't even know how I called him, but I was able to get a hold of him. I said, man, can I play through your amp? And they had, all their gear was backline, so he had this nice GK with the aluminum speakers and all that kind of stuff. And he's like, oh, I guess you can. And so I said, all right, thank you very much, man. You are so cool. Thank you very much. And he was kind of, didn't want anybody to touch his amp, but I can, you know, you can't blame him for that. So I played through his amp that night, and I took this thing home, and people were saying, dude, just don't plug it in, let it dry out. And we're out here in Arizona, so it's pretty dry most of the time anyhow. So I let that amp dry out for a month or two, and I plugged it in. Everything was good with it, so I kept using the amp. I eventually, you know, I eventually got other bass amps. I don't recall really what they were right now, but I do remember getting a couple other bass amps and upgrading my stuff. And then at around the year 2001, I was in a band, and my drummer had the whole Pro Tools. He had everything set up to do recording, and we were trying to make a demo. We were trying to record our first CD, and we were just watching what he can do with Pro Tools. We were amazed. So I gave him my Fender Bandmaster for studio time. And then I completely erased it from my memory that I ever even had this amp. Until about 2015, I was talking to the guy that had it, and he was remodeling his house. He just bought a brand new house. He was remodeling it. I put laminated wood flooring, because I've been a flooring guy my whole life. I did laminate in 3 of his rooms of his house, and he goes, "Come on, man, give me a deal now. I'm running out of money. What kind of deal can you do me?" And I said, "Well, you know what? How about you give me my old Fender Bandmaster back?" And he's like, "Deal." And during that time, so I got my Bandmaster back. So this is the second time that I had this amp in my possession. And during that time that he had it, he even took it to Amtronics, which is an amp repair shop over here in Mesa, Arizona. He fixed it all up at Amtronics. He spent a couple $100 on it. He put new tubes in it, and I never did that kind of stuff when I was a kid, or even thought about it. If you turned it on and it played, that's all you really cared about, and it played. And so he fixed it all up, and then come around summer of 2016, I opened my own guitar shop. I sell new and used guitars, and we flip guitars, and buy, sell, and trade, and stuff like that. And I was just starting about a month into having my store. I'm like, well, I guess I ought to roll that Bandmaster in there. It was out in my garage. I rolled it in the store, and it only took about a week, and that amp sold. And I think a guy gave me like $750 for it, and I was really happy to sell it because I was starting to get a little cash flow and trying to do some stuff and get the business rolling. And so I sold my Bandmaster. And, about 2 months ago, this guy sold my Bandmaster. He comes rolling in the old Fender Bandmaster, and he's like, and I'm like, "My old Bandmaster." He's like, "Yeah, man, I just got way too many amps right now. This one's kind of big. It takes up takes up a lot of room. And would you be interested in buying it back, or maybe trading it for something else?" I'm like, "Sure, absolutely." So we did another kind of a trade. I got my old 1967 Bandmaster back for the 3rd time. This amp has come into my life. And so I think that's an omen. I figure, okay, I'm just gonna keep the amp at this point. I'm 56 years old, and this amp keeps coming into my life. At this point, I think I'm better off to just keep it, right? So anyhow, here it is. I think I'm gonna keep it. Although there is one guy that comes in the store, and he's like, "Man, if you ever come across any like old, Fender stuff," and I'm like, "Oh, I got a Bandmaster at home, but I think I have to keep it, and just to keep selling this amp." That's the beauty of guitars and amps. They keep coming around and around, and it's a great thing. But anyhow, that's my story, man. I'm sticking to it. Later, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. See you later.